On the one hand, the left claims the highest court in the land is endorsing lying to patients as an acceptable health care practice. And on the other hand, that the travel ban ruling equates to some of the darkest days in American history. So let's get reaction from White House Director of Strategic Communications, Mercedes Schlapp. Welcome and good evening.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, what is the mood in the White House tonight? First, let's start with the travel ban.
Well, I have to tell you, I mean, President Trump and the team, they feel victorious. This is a very important night for the safety and security of the American people. I mean, clearly what we have seen is that the Supreme Court, this ruling affirmed the legality of what President Trump pushed forward in terms of his critical actions here. So I think when you look at the fact that these travel restrictions really emphasize the fact that this is something that is focused on those countries that we know didn't meet those minimum standards. So this raises this global minimal standard when it comes to having the right information, to making sure we know who's coming into our country. And so that, in essence, is important because it's forced countries like Chad to meet that minimum requirement. So then we know exactly what information that we're sharing and exactly who is coming into our country. A big success when it comes to national security for America.
And Chad got itself off the list because it did comply with these requirements. So it's now off the list. Okay, let's hear from one of the top Democrats in the Senate, Dick Durbin, his reaction to this ruling today.
We need to keep out every dangerous person who tries to come to this country. But to categorically brand people because of their religion or their background, what country they're from, is just not the way we should do things in America.
Now, the majority didn't find it that way. They said there's no mention of religion in the text. Of course, the dissent was very upset because of things that the president has said. They said they should have been factored in. They say his motive was clear in keeping people out strictly on the basis of religion.
Which, I mean, when you look at the list itself, it includes countries like Venezuela. It includes countries like North Korea. This doesn't have to do at all with religion. These countries that were picked, many of them came from those that Congress and the Obama administration had posed as those countries that posed serious national security threats. Clearly, we saw that Department of State, Department of Homeland Security, the Director of the National Intelligence, they did a worldwide review. They evaluated over 200 countries to say you need to have the accurate information that needs to be shared in order to determine which citizens can come into and out of our country. And I think that is a safety standard, that minimum safety requirement that we need. Not only does it help our country, but it also helps those countries to better improve their vetting system.
Systems too, yes, and that's something the Chief Justice noted as well. I want to ask you about this California case as well, because Justice Thomas authored that 5-4 opinion saying basically these pro-life pregnancy centers in California that are being forced to either refer people or tell them where they can go get abortions, which is completely against the mission of what they're trying to do, or have these numerous large disclosures in multiple languages and a font size, all kinds of things that other clinics that aren't pro-life pregnancy centers didn't have to do. They've sent this case back saying they think the plaintiffs have a good chance of winning and challenging and defeating this California law. A lot of folks say that kind of ruling would have never happened without the nomination and appointment of Justice Gorsuch, and note that this president has nominated a lot of judges that are viewed as pro-life, conservative, and that they are applauding him. Conservatives are for fulfilling that promise to them.
I mean, it has been an amazing over 500 days of what I would say American great success when it comes to President Trump, whether it be on economic security, national security. And one of his greatest legacies will be this appointment of Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch. There is no question. In addition to those circuit court judges that have been appointed, a record number of them that we have right now. And again, it's taking it back to the strict constitutionalism, the fact that we don't want to see activist judges. We want to make sure that the judicial system has its role, and then you have the legislative system that should be making those laws. So I think that for the role Gorsuch has played has been, I think, instrumental in the Supreme Court, and it is really taking it back to what is the true face of the law and the Constitution.
Not surprised, you won't be surprised, that a number of pro-choice groups are sounding the alarm, saying that this is the most disastrous and dangerous. They call it a dangerous threat to women's health. They're firing back and saying that we've got to take on this president and anyone who supports him. It's a theme that we've heard from a number of folks on the Hill. There's been a lot of rancor on both sides, people going after Republicans and Democrats. How are you feeling as a member of this administration? Are you worried about someone busting up your dinner or showing up at your house?
Well, I have to tell you, I spend every day with Sarah Sanders, and I think the experiences that we have seen, that she experienced even this past weekend, is just so incredibly unfortunate. I mean, especially when it's Sarah with her family trying to have a private moment and being able to just spend time with her family. God only knows that we're in the White House We don't get a lot of quality time and a lot of free time. And so what concerns me is this tone of inciting violence, this tone of just harassing anyone who is working for the Trump administration. And more so, I mean, you have to remember, we take on this role of being public servants. We are there to serve the American people, and we are there to help President Trump do his job, which he has done very successfully. I mean, he has a vision. We help him implement that. And so, you know, let's get back to the days where you can have that debate and healthy discussion and civility. And I think if we can get there, I think it helps our country heal. Because I tell you something, President Trump, he's a president of all Americans. And that's what he focuses on every day. Every time we see those unemployment numbers go down for Hispanics, African Americans, and really you start seeing the manufacturing jobs coming back. You know, you see these success stories, this economic boom. And I have to tell you, it's because President Trump is focused on all Americans. And that's what I know individuals like Sarah and those of us on our team that work very hard day in and day out, let them do their jobs. They're there to serve the American people.
He doesn't mind stirring it up a little bit, though, too.
It makes it good.
Keeps it interesting. All right. Mercedes, thanks for dropping in.
Thank you.
Good to see you.